You are Locked On Astros Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Houston on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
There is no other way to put it. The Astros, for the second straight day, have nobody to blame but themselves for losing a baseball game late in the afternoon as they drop another one to the Baltimore Orioles, and in very frustrating fashion once again today, as they have now dropped 2 out of 3 in this series, and will look for a 4-game split tomorrow to wrap this series up. Actually, tomorrow night, Sunday Night Baseball, and we'll, of course, be here for it. Welcome to the Locked On Astros Postcast here on the Locked On Sports Houston page this afternoon. Appreciate you guys for joining me for the second time today. We did the Texans show earlier today, which you haven't checked out. After you get done with this, go ahead and go check out the Locked On Texans Postcast after their final preseason game earlier this afternoon. And we are here with you now for this edition of the Locked On Astros Postcast, and we're going to get through it all. Framber's day being wasted, coughing up another win, and then, of course, tomorrow, why you need to go out there and absolutely win that baseball game tomorrow night. SupplyHouse.com is the reliable way to get parts fast. Shop for your next plumbing, HVAC, or electrical job, and get fast shipping from coast to coast at SupplyHouse.com. So, play that's going to stick out more than any in the game today. John Singleton with a lazy play at first base. The Astros could get out of that inning. I know that I tweeted it out that Taylor Scott's broken because he is broken. Like, we can't hide from the facts. He is broken. He's pitched like crap lately. And he wouldn't have been in that situation if John Singleton just did his job there in that moment. I get that completely. But there can be two truths to the facts there in that inning. Taylor Scott is not pitching well, and we've seen a lot of that lately. And John Singleton was fat and lazy in that moment, period. The whole situation with that play at first base. Now, look, I've told you guys before, I played a lot of first base in my life. I feel like I can talk to playing first base, even if it was 15 years ago now at this point, since the last time I played first base in my life. That's a play flat out. It's like 72.9 miles per hour off the bat to John Singleton there. He was lazy. He let the ball play him instead of playing the ball. Period. You cannot let one sit there and go off the bat as slow as it did and not charge it. You can't. I know that there can be funky spin, all those things, but that's not an excuse there. There's no excuse there. And I'm sure that when he speaks post-game, he's going to own it, that, yeah, he should have played that ball better than he did. He cost them. Now, look, it's always hard to win baseball games when you only score 2 runs, but your pitching today was in the right direction. Framber was good. I know this pitch count was high, but he was good, and you could have ended it right there. Baltimore wasn't doing anything. And then you have yourself set up to go to your high-leverage guys late, that even if one of them last night completely coughed it up, which, by the way, sorry, guys, I know that the show was up there and listed that we were doing a show last night. I didn't cop out because the Astros lost, I promise. I was at a family event, and I was watching the game, and I had every intention on getting back in time to do the show, and it just took way too long, and we ended up just saying, you know what? We're going to have to skip tonight, and we'll get back to it tomorrow. So we're here today after a loss. I'm mad, as you should be in this moment. They've had 2 losses 2 days in a row that they shouldn't have had. It's just as simple as that. I need to take a look. I know that Seattle was in a tie ball game earlier. What's going on with that game at this moment? The Giants are up 4-3. Is that right? Yeah, they're at 4-3 in the 7th inning, top of the 8th inning. I will pull that game up on my MLB TV and keep an eye on it, let you know what happens, because the Astros are still in that game. And that's where the last 2 days are really frustrating. We're all confident that the Astros can go out and can win the division and that they are going to win the division, correct? Yes, we are. They've played so much better than everybody else in the American League West now for months, and they've climbed to having a division lead. But if you put together one bad week or weekend and the other team puts together one good week or weekend, things change like that. And you cannot rest on what you've done. They're not there yet. If they pushed it to 10 games, okay. Losses like this, they would suck, but you could live with it to an extent because they got this massive cushion. Right now, it's at 4 games. They need San Francisco to pull this one off. The Giants are trying to add to their total late. They've got a runner on with nobody out in the 8th inning. But again, this is a game that you look at and you're going to look back at and you're going to say there was one pivotal play to it where the first baseman lazily fielded a ground ball at first base, let him eat it up, wasn't situationally aware of what's going on necessarily with the runner at the plate who can move in Krauser. And what do you know? He busts it down the line. And credit to him for playing it through and playing hard in that moment. And it beat out your guy. And your guy made a lazy mistake. Period. End of story. There is no sugarcoating this loss at all in what was pulled off today. It is awful. Absolutely awful. It doesn't help in the situation as well. It's not Framber's fault. The number one issue is John Singleton not charging the baseball and assuming to an extent that Framber would be there. Framber doesn't have to be right there, but Framber does in that situation need to be closer to first base. Because if he's closer to first base, there is an opportunity, at least for Singleton, when he flubs the play there, to toss the ball to Framber and possibly get the out. So again, it can be a situation where both things are the truth. The number one overall truth, again, is that it is on Singleton. That play is on Singleton. He screwed it up, and he has nobody to blame but himself. But this is where the attention to detail in other spots matters. And Framber at least being within striking distance of getting to the bag and covering it to where you can get an out there has to also happen. We know that Framber is the world's worst fielding pitcher. I mean, honestly, I think that we've seen in Houston Astros history, at least in my lifetime. And I have stood up and said a lot of good things for John Singleton. I think that John Singleton plays the most comfortable first base of any of the guys that they run out there for me, from the standpoint of more than anything else, just making picks, picking the ball at first base. He scoops basically everything. We've seen when Yiner gets out there, balls get by him. I haven't seen enough of Caratini to know. Dubon can pick it, but at any other position, but I just don't know enough about how he's going to always handle that when he has played it. I think he's kind of played out of that. DeCenzo's looked okay. Looked pretty good over there. But I have more knowledge of John Singleton's glove work at first base in those situations than I do anybody else. And he has made some pretty good plays for them this season, but he has also had some lapses defensively like he did today. That was a complete and total lapse on John Singleton, and that is why the Astros are sitting here. And you know that they're back in that clubhouse right now, kicking themselves, even if they only scored 2 runs, knowing that they should have won that baseball game today and could possibly be talking about adding another game back to their division lead this afternoon instead of hoping and praying that the San Francisco Giants hold on to a 4-3 lead late against Seattle. Absolutely sucks when you have these days. They're going to have to bounce it back tomorrow, and this is that portion of the schedule where there's no – the good news is that you can wash it, flush it, and go right back to work the next day, right? They're going to go right back to work tomorrow, and then they're going to keep going all the way until the 3rd of September. But we've talked about it. They're in this portion of the schedule now where they just got done with the Red Sox. Even though they lost 2 of 3 to Boston, they played a pretty, I don't want to call it completely, pretty soft first portion of the month of August. Basically, from the start of August through the 21st, they played beatable teams the entire time. Baltimore's beatable. The Astros have beaten them 4 out of 6 times they've played them this season. And honestly, they've looked better than them, I think, in every game that they've played against them, except for the moments when it mattered in the last 2. But you're playing this series out tomorrow, and then you're going to Philadelphia. I know that Philadelphia's been so up and down, and they're beyond beatable right now. And you got Kansas City, who's in the thick of it in the American League Central and playing really good baseball as well. This is a tough portion of it. They got to find a way back tomorrow to get out of this and salvage a split in this series. We'll talk more about it. Let's talk about Framber today because I do want to acknowledge when Framber's good, and I do want to talk about it, but also the waste of the day that you had for Framber, which absolutely stinks when you go out there and do that. We'll do that, talk about that in just a brief second right here on the Locked On Astros Postcast. I've told you guys before about Liquid IV, and I'm going to tell you about Liquid IV again right now. Do you love hydration? I love hydration. Guess what I had earlier this afternoon? Because I felt, a little dehydrated. I had a big workout this morning at the gym. It was leg day at the gym today. And, I did that, and I did a couple miles on the treadmill. And I need to get myself rehydrated. And the best way to do that with the electrolytes, the nutrients in it, is with Liquid IV. I love the sugar-free peach flavor. I love the lemon lime as well. They are both fantastic. And guess what? You should be getting in on that Liquid IV game just like we do in our house as well. Tear Pour, Live More. 1 stick plus 16 ounces of water hydrates better than water alone. No more thirsty summers when you indulge in hydration with Liquid IV. Get your 20% off your first order of Liquid IV when you go to liquidiv.com and use code MLB at checkout. That's 20% off your first order when you shop Better Hydration today by using promo code MLB at liquidiv.com. And one more message before we get back to our Astros discussion after the loss to the Baltimore Orioles. Get supplies from the site that's made for the skilled trades, SupplyHouse.com. SupplyHouse.com is the reliable way to ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands and get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Get expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the business and talk to a real person every time. Pros in the skilled trades can get a competitive edge by joining SupplyHouse.com's free Trade Master program. Every Trade Master gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping and discounts on every order. Join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting from their free membership at SupplyHouse.com/TM and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at SupplyHouse.com. Locked on Astros Postcast on a Saturday afternoon that really ended in a downer. It was a fun start to the day, even if it was a preseason game where nobody played in it today with the Texans, but it was the marking of the end of the preseason. And as I was doing that show earlier, which, by the way, you can check out here on this channel after you get done, talked a lot about what I think the season is ahead for the Texans. So, again, please go check that out. You can also find that on podcasts like you can with this show. You just go search for Locked On, and then whatever team it is, you're going to type in Astros for this one. You're going to type in Texans for that one. You get the audio version of it right there. But it looked like, hey, it's going to be a fun day in the city of Houston. And then, again, things strike late. And, I'm not going to completely crush him. I just don't think he's pitched all that well. I think you used him a lot. It happened a little bit like Seth Martinez. Taylor Scott is wobbling a little bit. He has not pitched all that well of late. And I know that the runs go to Framber there. And, again, he would not be in that situation if the defense does its thing. But you can, again, have two truths. You have to, as I always do, you have to live in reality of the situation. You have to analyze it for what it is. Bad play, yes. But also when the bad play happens, the pitcher has to come out and execute and get out of it. That's what he's paid to do. Didn't happen today. Did not happen. Taylor Scott, by the way, has given up a couple of runs. He's given up 6 runs over the last 15 games that he's appeared in. That's up there. They need to get that number back down a little bit. So I just, I don't want to completely crush him because he has been a huge part of why they've had success this season. But he looks like a guy that's hit the portion of the season maybe where they've hit the wall a little bit. Framber Valdez today, pitch count wasn't great. He wasn't as efficient. And the Baltimore Orioles took some good at-bats against him. That happens. But, wasn't the most pitch-efficient Framber that we've seen, without a doubt. But that's okay. That happens. He still looked really good overall. He had a lot of swing and miss, which I thought was awesome. His curveball again looked very good. And I was pleased with the outing that we all saw out of Framber Valdez today. You hate to go and not win games where your starter pitches that well. And that happened again today. Like, you saw the graphics during the game today between Framber and Hunter Brown. Those guys have been on exceptional runs and really been two of the better pitchers in all of baseball now for multiple months in a row. They need to reward Framber in those kind of situations, and they just did not reward Framber today in any way. If he continues to pitch like that, I've said it a lot, right now, the way that he's been going, when they get to the postseason and go game one, the ball will be handed to Framber Valdez. I'd be shocked if it's not. His stuff is too good. His fastball today, whether it's intentional or not, he was humming it up there pretty good, 97-ish. I've always said that he doesn't need to necessarily throw that hard because, he gets into those situations sometimes where he overthrows. But it was moving. The curveball was breaking like crazy. And he pitched like a staff ace. And I think that that's something that you continue to, of course, love to see and need to see out of him moving forward. Because, well, he is their ace. And Hunter Brown can be on the run that he's on. And you can have Verlander back and hoping that Blanco gets back to what he did early in the season. And, of course, Spencer Arrighetti pitching really well and Yusei Kikuchi also doing his thing. But so much of this team, when it comes to winning consistently, like if you go into a series, is going to land on the shoulders of Framber. Because they're going to need him, twice a series to go out there and do his thing. And I think that obviously you can count on him. I think you can count on him with the way that he's pitched this season. I know a lot of people are never going to get completely on board with Framber. They'll dog him left and right. It is what it is. That's your prerogative. I get it. But when he goes out there and performs, you have to go out there and you have to acknowledge what he's done. And what he's done is pitch really well and pitch like the ace. You just wish that you would have added to his win total. And, the way he's pitched this season is going to bring back he's the tough luck loser today, by the way. Picks up his 6th loss of the season. Final line was 5 2/3, 3 runs, 6 hits, 8 strikeouts, 1 walk. The way that he's pitched is going to bring back the conversation of contracts. Next year's the final year before he hits free agency. I think you'd be silly to not talk to him. I mean, look, you lose pitching like that. We all know what that means. That can be a very, very big blow to a team. And you don't have guys waiting in the wings. So it's a long way away. I still know all the issues of Framber, and there's a lot of stuff that's not for the public consumption that's been out there in the past. Of how Framber lives away from the field at times. Maturity questions, which are all part of the evaluation process. But the evaluation process of what he's done this season is pitch his butt off and get back to the guy he was in 2022. And I think that's a great thing, and I enjoy it because I like good Framber. I like watching him. I think he's fun. He's highly enjoyable. They just need him to continue that. We'll continue the talk about this series flat out. Winning tomorrow feels about as must as it gets after dropping 2 straight games in this series late. And by the way, real quick update on the Mariners and Giants game. It's heading to the 9th. The Giants are still up 4-3. They're about to go to the plate for one final time before they try to close it out in the bottom of the 9th. But we'll get back into the Astros discussion. I'll give you the updates on that as well as it moves forward. And we'll talk about needing a win in tomorrow's game in the worst way next here in the Locked On Astros Postcast. Well, if you're one of those people, like I am, that thrives on getting things done, including your workouts, which I've told you guys, you heard me talking about it a minute ago, it is always a big deal for me. I have to do it every single day. I don't feel like my day works the same if I don't get it in the morning and then do it one more time in the evening. That's why you need to go ahead and get yourself Tonal, smart strength training system that takes the guesswork out of you, out of it all, so you can make sure that you're making the most of every single rep. Life gets busy. Fitting in the workout can be stressful. With Tonal, you can get efficient workouts personalized just for you, and they're available with the amount of time that you have. Tonal is the world's smartest and most effective strength training system that helps you get stronger. It's powered by AI. Tonal learns every rep so it can deliver workouts personalized for you. It learns from your movement and provides suggested weight recommendations for every move with detailed progress reports. It can even create personalized program and workout suggestions or recommendations based on your individual goals. It's like having a personal trainer at home with you, as Tonal will optimize every workout just for you. Unlike traditional gym equipment, Tonal offers and uses adaptive digital weight to advance your training techniques. From professional athletes to the mom of three, Tonal is trusted by thousands who have become their strongest. Right now, Tonal is offering our listeners $200 off your Tonal purchase with promo code LOCKEDONMLB. That's Tonal.com and use promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $200 off your purchase. That's Tonal.com, promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $200 off. Locked On Astros Postcast here on a Saturday evening, and I totally whiffed on my drinking water when the green thing came on, so you got to watch me drink water for a minute. I'm sorry. Astros lose today. It stinks. You hate it. I'm your host, by the way, Michael Connor. Appreciate you guys joining us. Appreciate you guys making the Locked On Sports Houston page your go-to when a game ends. We, of course, are with you after Astros, Texans, Rockets, Cougs. We're going to have a very busy week this week. We've got Astros every single night. Saturday, we will have Astros at 6 and the Cougs at 6. And I said this earlier, I do plan to do both. I am a person that is capable of watching two games at once. I'll probably be sitting in this very room, Astros on one screen, Cougars on the other screen, and watching both games, and then we will talk about them at some point. We'll do the Astros live when they finish, and then we'll probably do Cougs later on because they start their season Saturday night. But appreciate you guys, as always, stopping by. Hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel today, and then come back tomorrow when the Astros wrap up this series, because the Astros tomorrow, they need a win in the worst way. And, they have a division lead at this point, and I put must win because you guys, if you've watched this show, you know that I just love the topic of must win because it gets some people so irked. It's not a must win. It's not technically a must win. I get all that. I just like to do it. But inside of a series and inside of a situation and evaluating the situation, I think you can always look at it. And in your opinion, if you feel that it's a must win, then it's a must win. Like, I actually do think they need to win tomorrow. They played poorly for 2 consecutive days, and it resulted, I shouldn't say played poorly for 2 consecutive days. They had late inning blunders for two consecutive games that cost them wins. And you need to wash that taste out of your mouth. They will get back out on the plane tomorrow. Quick trip over to Philadelphia. That flight can't be more than like 15 minutes. I don't even know if they're flying for that one or not. I'm sure they are, but that can't be long. I flew once from Philadelphia to New York to connect for a flight. It was like a 14-minute flight. So it's not like they got a lot of extenuous travel. They do have Sunday Night Baseball tomorrow night, which is going to suck. I believe the game is also on Space City Home Network. I believe. I'm pulling it up right now. It says, no, it just says ESPN. For some reason, I thought it was on both. I don't know why I thought it was on both, which it shouldn't be, right? Because it's an ESPN game. Yeah, it's just an ESPN game. It's going to be bad. You have to listen to Carl Ravitch, who I used to like, and he just went so boomer on it a few years ago and just acts like an old man. Then he's got frosted tips. which is weird. So you got to listen to that tomorrow night. I'm going to put the Astros game on the radio and time it up on my TV, watch it that way. I just think it's the better option. And then we'll talk about it. They are going to hand the ball tomorrow night. Kind of a big deal, of course, to go out there and, get a victory in this one. And they, can't waste another starter's good performance, which, look, the starters have had good performances so far in this series. That's why they've had the chance to win every game. Yusei Kikuchi tomorrow night. He is familiar with this Baltimore team, so that will be interesting to see up against Dean Kramer. Both pitchers 6-9, very similar numbers. 6-9 for Kikuchi, 4.37 ERA. Of course, his numbers with the Astros far better. And Kramer 6-9 with a 4.30 ERA. And the Astros will still be looking to get off of 69 wins on the season, which was nice a couple of days ago, but it isn't so nice now, and get to 70 and 60 on the season. Of course, after the game wraps up, you'll be able to join us. And by the way, the Mariners and Giants game is heading to the bottom of the ninth. It's 4-3. So I'm going to go ahead and watch that. And hopefully we'll be talking about the Astros still holding that 4.5 game lead in the American League West tomorrow, or at least maybe pushing further into it. If the Giants can win tomorrow, we'll know by then, because the Astros is the only game that night. Appreciate you guys joining us again today. Sucks that you have to talk about a loss and a first baseman making a terrible, terrible play. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday night. Talk to y'all tomorrow night right here on the Locked On Astros Postcast.